Alrighty, we'll be starting here in just a minute. Alrighty, welcome back. Been a fun weekend and weeks leading up to the expo, but it's time to get back to work. So, I'm gonna be getting back into it here as soon as I remember how to use my computer. There we go. Alright, let's see if I can get this going. What do you say? What do you say? Found too many open? Are you kidding me? Right now? Man. Because my pen stopped working. Okay. Yay. Alright. I don't want to turn my music down, huh? Oh, it is down. Just a little too loud still, though.
Shipping, 2 days free shipping with no membership fee. No membership fee means more savings, so I can get what I need for everyone on my list. Walmart.com. $35 minimum restrictions apply.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah? Getting ready for Friday?
It's Friday. Oh, yeah.
So I decided I wanted to get Grace back to him as quickly as possible so
Okay.
he could review it and get any changes, and then if he doesn't have any changes, we'll just flip it and send everything back.
Okay.
So, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of yellow on there, so, I mean, you got pretty much all of it. So there were a couple of things that I just kind of wanted to help you understand a little bit better, and also give you a better idea of, you know, when you first started, you know, you did a really good job of getting stuff, and then I said, so all the critique that you're going to get is because you've gotten to this level, and now the critique is going to get you to this level. So all the critique from now on is kind of getting you to that nitty-gritty level. So it's not that me or Jerome or anyone who like redlines stuff is going to be. It's not because we're trying to find things that you're doing wrong. It's that we're trying to help you tune your brain, your mind, your thinking, your way of thinking just a little bit differently, so that when you're going through this, you can say, oh, we changed this, so I should probably check to make sure that this is done as well. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. This isn't, you know, and I tell you this because I remember when my first boss would redline stuff, there were some things where he would redline it, and I'd just be like, you know. And I'm standing behind him, I'm just rolling my eyes and shaking my head. He's redlining stuff, and you know, you can do that. That's fine. You can shake your head and roll your eyes behind me, but some of it, and you'll be able to determine which of it is more of me kind of saying this is the way I like to do it, and which ones, you know, you'll be able to think about it and say, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That even if I don't do it that way, we need to be sure that we check and make sure things are consistent. So, so I'm going to start in the floor plan, but I want to go to the elevation in a little bit, because the couple things that you missed here are subtle in what he's trying to tell us. Okay, so he's got a slope here and a slope here, and we already had a slope right here. Okay, and he wants this to be a 9-foot ceiling, so you put 9-foot ceiling. So if you think about it, if this is supposed to be a 9-foot ceiling, what is this supposed to be? Yeah. So that needs to be a 9-foot ceiling too. So, and we're gonna make these changes right here. So while we're looking over it. So, but the other thing is that he mentions that he wants to slope this way too. Okay, right up here at the top. So what does that tell you he's looking to do there? If he wants this to slope, I'll put this up here so it's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, there we go. If he wants this to slope this way, just thinking through that, what does that tell you he's wanting to do?
More similar to the owner's bedroom.
Okay.
At the top where he wants it vaulted this way, like
so
the
ceiling is going to go up.
Yeah.
Right, but why do we do that? It's like why does this slope and this slope and this slope?
Because that's the way the roof is.
That's the way the roof is.
I actually looked at it, and the roof wasn't like that.
It's
so
not.
That's why.
It's not. So what do you think he's telling us by that?
Okay. So
He only sends the floor plan, so he's not thinking.
To change the roof.
Exactly. He's not thinking I need to tell them to change the elevation too. He's going to put it on here, and you know, that's one of those things where I really like Revit, because if I change the roof to do this, and then I look at a section there, it doesn't make sense, right? Because there's a gable right there. So this right here, and this is more of me knowing Christopher, right? So when I see that slope right there, that tells me, okay, he's going to do that because the roof is going to be like that too. So we'll come to that in just a second. But let's see here. A couple things about these roof slopes. Because it's 9 foot here, we need to get rid of this stuff so this is where I have to think, right? Because in Premiere it all does this, doesn't it? So what I actually want to do here is I want to take all of these and I want to maybe hide them. Wait, did you create a floor plan for Premiere?
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Okay, so we already have all that in Premiere. Oh wait, but is it? Am I in Premiere right now? Is that? Oh.
Now, each time I had to print it, I changed the name on the.
That's fine. Sometimes you have to do that. Make sure I'm not changing things on the wrong plan here. That would have been bad. All right. So about these 9-foot ceilings, right? So we want to keep that slope there. That's fine. It's going to be 10, 12. But you know what 10, 12 means, right?
It's the 10 inches, 12. The triangle.
Okay.
I know what it means, but I don't at the same time.
It's rise over run.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So when you're doing anything with a slope, okay, you're right, it's that triangle. And almost always this is 12 inches, and that's your run. Oh my goodness. Run. And then this is rise. Right? And what that means is that for a roof, for every 12 inches, that way you go up 10 inches. 12 inches that way, 10 inches up. 12 inches that way, 10 inches up. So for 3 feet of horizontal run, you go up 30 inches.
What's that again?
12 inches is a foot.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go over 1, 2, 3 feet, I go up 3 times 10 inches, so 30 inches up. Okay, so that's what that means. So using that, and you can actually draft it out, you can figure out where exactly this line is supposed to be. Okay, so this is 10 and 12. So what you do is you go, it's 9 feet. It's an 8-foot plate, so we have to go up. This one's actually easy, so we have to go up 1 foot. So it's actually, this line's actually only going to be 10 inches from here. Does that make sense? I'll show you in just a second. So I'm gonna take that right there. This line's actually only going to be right there, and here's why. Because it's 10 and 12. If I go up 1 foot, okay, because I'm sorry, I still did that wrong. See, it's even confusing for me after even when I do know what I'm talking about. We're going up a foot, so we have to go out that same amount. So if it's 10 over 12, we're going back to algebra days, okay? We cross multiply. So we need to know if we're going 12 inches up, which is 9 foot minus 8 foot, because the ceiling's at 9 foot and the plate's at 8 foot. Okay, does that make sense? You follow that? Then we need to know what x is, right? And then you just solve for x. So you've got 144, which is 12 times 12 equals 10x divided by 10. Never thought this would come in handy, did you? So 14.4 equals x. Okay, so this is actually going to be 14.4 inches. Okay, and if you don't want to do the math, you can just draft it. Okay, so we know that we want to go, we want to figure out, I think I still did that wrong. We want to figure out, we're going up 1 foot. and the rise is 10 inches. So then the question is if we go 1 foot, how far do we need to go? Or, sorry, if we need to go 1 foot, then what is our distance? Because it's similar triangles, right? So here's our rise over run triangle, and then this is the distance right here that our line would be from that, which I think if we draw a 14.4 line, it's right there. Did that drafting part make sense?
I remember doing that on the home, well, in school, but
Yeah.
I forgot the method.
First, I think having it rotated, it messed me up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was remember doing it from
But
the.
so essentially, I'll do it again real quick. We'll use 8 and 12. Okay, so we have 8 inches, and then 12. Okay, and that's our triangle right there.
Okay.
Okay, so we know that we're going up to 10 feet, and we're going from an 8-foot plate, so that's a 2-foot height that we have to go, right? So what we do is we draw a 2-foot line here, and we take this, and we copy it because it's the same, okay? And then we can trim that, and that's our run distance right there. So here is, by the way, here's a pro trick. I don't know if you've seen ordinate dimensions. But they're pretty cool. You can change this from continuous to ordinate. And what that does is you can come here, and that's going to be your 0 line. So there's 0. There's 1 foot. There's 3 feet. Which makes sense because this is 8 and 12. 24 inches is 2 feet. 8 divided by 3 is 24 inches. 3 feet out.
Yeah.
So, but that's one dimension line that does all the dimensions. If you're doing a cumulative,
Okay.
you can do it that way. So, all right. Anyway, that was the long explanation. So we want to try. Sometimes eyeballing is good enough, but if we know how to do it, let's go ahead and place that line where it needs to be. And then we need to that. Get rid of that, and we know what this distance is, so we can do the same thing from over here. And I'm just going to do 14.4 offset. We're going to see if we can get this to hit that line. It doesn't look like we can. There we go. Because I think it's 10-12 on all the roofs, right?
Pretty much.
Is it? I can't remember.
Was like
yeah, we did.
3.5.
Well, no, we did 10-12 on all the slopes.
Okay.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Do, you know how some of them it's 10-12 on one side and 12-12 on the other, or something like that. So there we go. So then we can take this, just. Copy it around. All right, so there we go. Now we've got those slopes, and then the same thing here. We can just draw this. here. And in my opinion, that's going to be pretty ugly, but his design. And it might be that, and sometimes putting this in the right place can be a good tool for Christopher, because when we show him this, when he sees that, he's gonna be like, ooh, maybe not, right? This isn't so bad. I don't like it when he does this either, but this one might not be so bad. I think we've got some model lines here that maybe.
That's I think I used a line work tool, and when I did the beams, it had that extra, that
Well, one of these is a model line, the other is a detail line. So I think we're going to use. Well, you've got a bunch of them in there, and I say you because you're the last person to be in it. It might have been from. It might have been from someone else. So.
No, that was me. I think.
And then we'll just line these up. We'll just say that they should be about right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, well, and that one's that one right there.
See, it was kind of confusing because at first I didn't know where they came from, but I had a duplicate of them.
Yeah.
So and then I delete them, but
that's okay.
I guess I placed more in there.
Well, we'll just hide them for now. There's another right there. We'll just make sure that they're not showing up in the view. I think that's it. Okay, so we got that. Ugh. I think that was it for that. Okay, so did all that make sense? Any questions about that?
Okay.
Make sure we get this right here. Okay. And then also, since this is all 9-foot ceiling, there's no beam right here. It all just flows right into that. Okay. And then it drops down right there.
Premiere in that one real quick. Is that what you just did? I'm
doing standard right now.
Okay, I thought you were in. Okay, I was just making sure.
No, this one's Premiere. I started editing this one.
Oh, okay.
And then I put it over.
Okay.
I put it onto the sheet. So
okay.
So no, I didn't switch design options. I put the right view on the sheets because I didn't realize that I was working on the wrong one. So, and I had already named it. So I think the set was already set up to be for Premiere. So. Hopefully, I think I've only got these sheets that I need to change stuff on. Okay, so then this part here. So I don't know. Did you work on this part right here?
Is that the back?
This is the back.
I don't remember working on the back. Right
okay.
there. Unless I. Did I flip it? No, we didn't flip it.
We haven't flipped this one yet.
I don't know what happened.
Me neither. I might have left it there on purpose to see if you'd fix it. I don't know. So the first thing that I noticed, this over here, you got it all perpendicular and lined up. It looks great. And what I want to make sure that we do is that we want to cut off this edge here. So two things actually that I'm noticing. We need to be sure that when we do gables, we put that gable, what's called the gable end or the birdhouse on there. Yeah. And it's super quick and super easy to do. Okay, have you ever worked with in-place families before?
Isn't it like an extrusion?
Yeah. Have you ever worked with in-place families?
No.
So, and we probably should make a family because we use this so much, but I just haven't done it yet. So you can make a family in Family Editor and then load it in, or you can just create one in place. So the way you get there is if you start the component tool, insert, architecture, component, okay, and then model in place. And actually, I think you can do, if you do this drop down, you can do model in place. I make them part of the roof because it is part of the roof. and I just call it gable end or birdhouse or whatever you want to call it. So remember a while back we talked about modeling in Revit and how work planes are really important and understanding what, like if you're working on a level or if you're working based off a reference plane. So when you're doing in-place families or families in general, it's really important to understand what your working plane is. So in this case, the plane right now is set to this right here. I don't even know what it's set to. It picked a random thing to associate to right now. But what I'm going to want to do is this birdhouse needs to move wherever that roof moves to. So if the roof moves in or out, I want it to move with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the work plane, and you know how to do this part, right? Yeah. Set the work plane. I'm going to set it to that face right there. Okay, because the fascia is going to move with the roof already. Okay, so if the fascia gets deleted, I don't want our birdhouses to get deleted too. So I'm going to make it part of the roof, which is not going to be deleted. If it gets deleted, we have bigger problems than the gable end being deleted. All right, and so then if you need to, you can stretch this out across here. And then yeah, it's just, you can do a really simple one. And the easiest way to do this is to come in here and pick that line and then kind of rotate it and pick the underside of this. And it's important to do the underside and not this, because that's how it's going to be built. It's going to be built to the underside of the roof. And you're basically just going to create a box right here. And they kind of vary from model to model. If you look at the pictures, you know what this is that I'm talking about, right?
It's kind of just like for design, right?
It's for design, but it also allows you to put a vent underneath. So let's look at real quick. These pictures. Find a good one. Has your network connection been okay today, by the way?
It's been okay.
It's been okay. Yeah, I checked my speed again and it was blazing fast. So I don't know if they changed anything overnight or what happened with that. Let's see here. I know I got a really good close-up picture of it somewhere. And of course you can, there it is. So this right here is what it is. Okay. So you kind of have two main ways of doing a roof overhang. You can either leave the rafters exposed and have it just, come straight down like that, or you can do a return. And that's what this is it's the vent return. And it looks a little weird if you chop it off right there short of the gable, so they just bring it all the way out to the face of the gable right here. So this is essentially what we're doing, and it's a combination of two things. It's a soffit board that has a vent in it right here, and it's the piece that caps it so that you can't see back into it. And then also the return right here. So the simple way to do this is to just have this piece right here and bring this back. And if it extends all the way back to a certain point, you just bring it all the way back to right there. And then I make sure that the material matches the fascia, which I think the easiest way to do that, actually I don't think I have it set up to do that. So you just look for Hardy, spelled incorrectly. Hardy board. That's it, right there. Okay. And then I just mirror it and put it over there. And sometimes mirroring shows you whether or not. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Is this also, you see how it's actually past the wall right there? So all I do usually is I take this and I offset it 6 inches. Whoa, that was not 6 inches. So the tricky part here is that this window, I don't know if this window's low, because he said it was a 2050, right? 2850. So let's look. 18 or 68. These are 3050, 68. So I think usually he has a taller window in those spaces. So usually that line just comes straight across and cuts that off. But I think if that window's lower, I think what we do is we just return it right here, the bottom of the gable return. Yeah. Okay, and that just cleans up the transition between the soldier coursing and the running bond. Okay?
Okay.
All right, and finally, the roof back here. So I think even though this is going to become gable, I want to go ahead and kind of talk about how this transitions right here. So if you think about this, you know, the function of a roof is to shed water, right? So if you think about how this is framed, even though Revit went ahead and put this back here, think about how this is going to be built. They're not going to build this underneath another roof because there's not going to be any water under there. Okay, so what do you think design-wise you do for this part down here, and how that reflects here? And what do you think?
Do you change the slope?
No, let's keep the slope the way it is.
Do you move the plate higher or lower? No.
Nope.
You adjust the roof?
Yeah, well, yeah, you adjust the roof somehow.
I don't know.
So what you do, and I'll tell you, this is another mindset switch. Usually, if you just say, "I'll just go look at another project and see how they did it," even if you don't do it that way, it'll give you an idea of what's, and then you spend 30, 45 minutes searching for a project that has that. By the way, this reference folder under Patriot Home Building is invaluable because it has framing, it has finishing, it has pictures from it has pictures from a Soto and a Bryant, which has a lot of the design aspects that he puts in all of his homes. The only thing it doesn't have is the vaulted ceilings in the living room, something new that he's doing.
Okay.
So in this case, we're fortunate to have I can't win. So we have a really good example of what he does right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he does is he truncates that roof and brings the wall up underneath that soffit.
Oh,
okay, which isn't the most elegant. How many buttons I can click here? It's not the most elegant solution, but it is a solution that he and his framers have been used to. Okay, so what I typically do there, okay, and we can see we need this line to get the slope, so we don't want to get rid of that. Okay, so what I do there is I do a cut, and I've got my join line, which is helpful, and then I cut it something like this. And remember that the cut tool, you're creating the shape of the hole that's being cut into the roof. Okay, so now that cleans up right there, and then I can bring this up to meet right there. And see, this is a little ugly right here, but I mean, it's what he's asking us to do design wise, so there's not a whole lot we can do about it. And then what happens here is that this comes up to, I think we have a 9-foot ceiling in the patio. So this just comes up to the 9-foot plate. And then what I'd like to start seeing done, especially on these graces, because this is actually, we're going to have to include this in the elevation. We need a 9-foot ceiling here. So let's go ahead and create a ceiling. Oh, let's set my work plane so that we can create a 9-foot ceiling. Finish floor. Ceiling. I don't need to see that anymore. And I think we don't have, let's just do hardy ceiling. I'm gonna have to get glasses soon. Hold. Up. Get this, and then I just do a 5/8 inch hardy layer. They'll have wood framed above it, but we don't need to show that. This hardy board, Yoki, 9-foot. And then I just draw that right around here, and I'm going to make this border be flush with that. And then this border be flush with this. So there's a few things, especially the Christopher's homes, that this tells us. It tells us, number one, if they can actually get a 9-foot ceiling underneath. So sometimes this actually, the slope of the roof actually goes lower than the 9-foot soffit.
Okay.
So it's good to know that, so that we can let him know. And then the other thing it tells us is where we're going to be able to create soffit here, or our gable end, basically. I think this needs to come out. Something's not quite right. I think that needs to come out there. That makes sense what I just did.
Clicking.
So this column needs to be in line with the framing of this wall.
Okay.
So that the beam can sit on the framing. It can't sit on the brick, and before it was sitting on the brick, so I wanted to bring that in.
Okay.
The only problem is that when I did that, it moved this also, which we also have to need to check on that too. This was all not part of what I was going to go over, but okay, so this is a problem that we also have with Christopher's drawings, is that when you put hardy board over brick, like he likes to do, you have this, and you have to figure out a way to keep the brick out, or to keep the brick, because it's raining bricks. Keep the water out, because if it sits on here, it's going to go back down into the wall. So what he likes to do, even though it's not really, it shouldn't really be done this way, is he likes to frame this out so that the hardy board is flush with the brick, which means he'll have to do a little tricky framing right here to kind of balloon that out past. So, but you know, it is what it is. It looks like we need to clean this up a little bit. Okay, and then so this, I'm just editing the profile of the roof.
Okay.
Okay, so that's important to see this in an elevation so that the framers know that that's going to return back like that. So
Okay.
it looks like I still missed the oh no, I didn't. whatever. I'll just clean that up in a little bit. So one of the things that Christopher didn't comment on that I'm a little concerned about for this plan is this space right here. Ugly, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, he does. Christopher. That's one thing about Christopher is he doesn't care about his elevation, his back elevations, because his thought is who's going to see it. Well, if you've ever been in one of these production home neighborhoods, your 4 neighbors behind you see it. Because they're literally in your backyard. So, and you can see here, I tried my best to kind of clean up this roof join right here. If this line came to here, it wouldn't really work out. And I say that because the overhang is pretty intense to get it to match. So it's one of those things that's just like, you know.
Was that just on this plan?
No, there's a couple others that we've done that for as well.
Okay.
So if we do the typical 1 foot overhang right here, right, you end up with something like that. So you have to kind of decide which is uglier.
Well, I think that looks better.
You like with the slope like that?
Mm-hmm.
So we can try that. The other option is this comes straight back and then this continues down and they just intersect. So, and that would look like this. Or this continues down and meets right there. Oh, I knew it was going to happen. You know, and then you've got this weird situation going on. But this is what we're trying to prevent, right? With bringing this up and back and doing all that stuff. So
the ones that you just did, the ones you just edited look better than the first.
These two,
yeah,
they make more sense.
They do.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm not a big fan of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have to think on this a little bit before I finish this up. So, but you know, the reason that I started talking about that is to kind of show the same kind of thing has to happen. You want to try to make sure that the roofs make sense. And you were talking about adjusting the plate heights and things like that. On our homes, that would make sense. We go ahead and do that because it hasn't been built. But you want to make sure that design-wise, it looks like it was intentionally done that way. And not a product of, well, the builder only knows how to build a shed roof and for the back patio, and this is what he does for all of his bedrooms, so we got to figure out how to make those work together instead of saying we have a blank canvas, let's make it work the way that we want it to work. So, and that was pretty much it. That was a lot. Do you have any questions?
I do have a question. How would you adjust that roof? That's kind of like staggered.
Like this right here?
Yeah. Or would you just do like the edit profile or the?
So there's a cut here, and I think what happened is that this square isn't quite lined up with where these meet. So let's look real quick. If I just do this, and then I think that the cut is a little off right here too. So the first thing I would do is I'd make sure that everything's kind of right where it should be in terms of how it would be framed. And there's a cut here somewhere that I gotta find. And I think that is for the main roof. So I'm just gonna bring it way down until I know for sure they meet. Okay, Okay, so that's definitely where they meet right there. This is why I like turning shadows on too. It looks like we've got another issue there, but that's not the issue I'm dealing with right now. So it looks like if I did it this way, I should actually be able, and you can see that that line's not quite where it should be either. It looks like that point would be right where all those roofs meet. So what I can do here is learn to click the right roof. I would just stop this roof right here probably. And then I think,
What did you just push instead of pushing finish?
so I have all of my, I went through, I spent like 10-15 minutes going through my keyboard shortcuts and changing everything that's finish editing to FF. So I hit EE for edit and FF for finish, whether it's a group or sketching, floor sketches, ceiling sketches, whatever it is. And that makes it really easy for me to, and the reason I did that is there used to be a bug in Revit where if you were editing a group or a sketch, sometimes this whole panel would disappear.
It still does that.
Does it still do that?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, is that even when that disappears, it used to be that if you didn't have a keyboard command for that, you're stuck. You're done for. You have lost all the work if you have not saved
I
recently.
thought it was something I pushed.
Nope, it is purely a Revit
Okay.
user interface bug. So if that disappears, I can hit FF, save, restart Revit,
Yeah.
and continue working, because when you're in a sketch mode, you can't save.
I guess
So-
I'm gonna have to make that change.
Oh, actually, I wonder if they fixed that because of the bug. You can't actually save when you're in sketch mode. I think you get a warning though that says that it's going to save everything that was done before you entered sketch mode. So I have a keyboard shortcut file that you can import that has all those keyboard shortcuts that I
Okay.
use in there. So I can send that to you if you're interested
Okay.
in
Yeah,
and
please send that to
having
me.
that. Let's see if it gets a warning. I'm so glad that today's almost over.
Okay.
I might actually. Holly, weren't you leaving at 4?
I thought she wasn't going to an appointment.
Good luck. Drive safe.
Bye, Holly.
And I might bug out here pretty soon too. So you're welcome to stay or not. I think that 9 hours will count, or however. I guess it was 2 hours. 9 hours for me for this weekend will count towards the week, because you were there
It will?
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday's the beginning of the pay period.
Oh, wow.
Or the beginning. So Saturday is when it ends, Sunday is when it begins. So if you work on Sunday, technically it's supposed to go to the next paycheck, but sometimes if I come in on Sunday and I'm short the week before, I'll put it on Saturday. So, and it's not because it's cheating or something like that, it's because, you know, if you have to make up the hours and the opportunities there, go ahead and do that. It's not,
Okay.
you can't double dip. So if you put in 8 hours on Sunday, you can't have that 8 hours make up time for previous week and count for the next paycheck.
Oh.
Does that make sense? But you could do, like, if you're 4 hours short for the previous week and you worked 8 hours on Sunday, you can put 4 hours of it on the previous week and 4 hours.
Oh, I gotcha.
So, just can't use the same hours on both, which I'm sure makes sense. So it saved it. Didn't even give me a warning box, but so real quick, because I think there's another scenario where you do have situations like this where it comes like this and you have to resolve that, where a roof maybe just barely comes over. And take a look at Bryant. Bryant for sure has over in this area where the dining room comes back to hit the roof, the main roof, it has just a little bit of extra roof that I modeled to make up for that. And it's just one of those things where it's just a little fix to get it done.
Okay.
It was either that or redesign the roof. So I was just like, this isn't worth it. So
Okay.
anyway, so would you be good with being here by yourself, or?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You get to sing as loud as you want. Alrighty. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and save and bug out. Careful, there's a table there. And I promise you, it was there before you started moving. See ya.